Well, hey, hello, Sam here in the Reloved Guitars workshop, and it's a Friday again, and another busy weekend coming up. Got some interesting things to do. But first of all, I'm going to introduce you to this week's two new things, and just move the camera around a bit. You can see behind me I've got a bit of additional lighting. Don't know whether it's going to make much of a difference. I've had a bit of a clear out so that yeah, let's have a look. Bit of a clear out. So there's the cardboard mountain has gone upstairs to the spare room, so it's given me a bit of space back here, and I've got some wood I've got to either burn or use or get rid of or something. But it's nice to have some space on the shelves behind to put the various things, like all the bits taken off each guitar now live over there, including the lacquer store over there with its various different colours and so on and so forth. So a bit more space, really pleased to say. And over here, chucking a bit more light at the top. I'm hoping that that will offset the glare that sometimes you get in the pictures, which kind of blurs out what the detail. You'll also see the Reloved Guitars exotic and high, professionally made leaderboard of shame, the fret leaderboard of shame, and this is going to build up over time. I'm going to go back through some old photographs of recent setups that I've done, because I've got pictures of all the different setups, so I do have a record to use. So expect me to go and fill some of those in. But right now you can see that straight away the vintage V100 Les Paul, which is currently ready wrapped up in a box, ready to sell, is top of the leaderboard with 15%. Fantastic, unbelievable. And down at the bottom is this beastie here, the Ace Pro SG copy at 80%. I have to say, I'm not sure we're ever going to get better than that, and I'm not even sure we're going to get, well, I'm fairly confident we will get worse than that. So that's a couple of changes. So this week's incomings, first one, I'm really pleased with this. This, folks, is, I think it's Reloved 040, and it's a Gould Les Paul copy. God, that light's bright and warm. A Gould Les Paul copy, and what's really nice about this is it's way out of tune, but I got this at a really, really good price off a very nice guy who I never met, Felix. Thank you ever so much for bringing the guitar down to my office, appreciate that. Felix rode it down there on a bike, I believe. Couldn't make the meeting that we'd arranged. So it's just one of those things about eBay that I really like, that people, when they sell something, they're willing to go the extra mile, and literally Felix brought it right down to my office while I was out and left it with my colleagues. So when I got back, I was very, very pleased to see this is the reason I bought this is because it matches, or it's kind of very much in the same vein as the Gould GS 1350 or whatever it's called, the semi-acoustic guitar that I got recently for also a very good price. And it has a few things that need doing, including the switch has got a bit iffy, so I need to pull the guts out by the F-holes on that guitar. But that aside, plus the fact I really need to recut the end of the fretboard because it was wonky, but those things aside, it's still a really nicely made semi-acoustic, and this comes from exactly the same family, and on the basis of how well made the first one is, I took a risk on, or punt on this one, and actually I'm not at all disappointed. This has the same quality of construction. It's not exactly a rock and roll guitar. It's I don't know, this is a middle-aged bloke's guitar kind of thing. Sorry, Felix, if that wasn't you, but it has a kind of I don't know, a kind of mature, well-made feel about it. You'd want to be kind of playing gentle 1950s Sinatra melodies or something. I don't know what I'm talking about, but it's not a rock and roll chuck it about guitar, but it's very well made, and I think it's kind of pretty in its big sort of flaming red look. But it has very, very familiar construction to the semi-acoustic. A few little things need doing. There's a couple of buzzing notes. The nut's all wrong. It's also probably a replaced nut by the look of it. Somebody's done it not very well, so I've got another one on order. There's an interesting thing here with the stop piece practically pulled right out of the hole, so I don't know what's going on there. I mean, it's working. It doesn't need to be all the way in, but you know, my kind of concern is just one day going to go fling out and blind someone. But other than that, it's got everything you need. There's good quality looking tuners. They feel quite good. It's got a nice finish. Hardly any scratches. Haven't looked inside, but yeah, Gould Les Paul copy for a sensible amount of money on eBay. And this is one where already I'm kind of thinking, actually I quite like having the 2 Goulds in my collection, and I'm going to have to twist my own arm to sell this one, I think. But anyway, that's guitar number 1 for this week, and I'm really looking forward to doing that up. And we've got everything we need pretty much to do that, I think. I don't think there's anything we're outstanding. So I'm just going to hang that one up a minute. And now I'm getting boiled, so stop this and we'll go on to number 2. Hey, hello, Sam here at Relove Guitars Workshop, and it's a stormy October night. Season's changing towards winter, and what we have here in the shed tonight is one of this week's acquisitions. It's the Gould Les Paul copy, and as I said a minute ago, I'm really impressed by this guitar. All its correct number of limbs and so on. There's a couple of things like there's some buzzy bits. I think the nut's been done wrongly, so I've ordered a new nut to go on here. But generally speaking, I like this. Nice. Not that I can play much, but you know. My hands are filthy. Anyway, yeah. So we got a pretty nice basic thing here. I don't see anything major wrong with this, other than there's a bit of a wobble on the jack plug plate. A slight problem with that string buzzing, and I think the nut, anyway, we've got to replace it, so we'll cure that. We'll give it a nice fret job and the usual stuff, and set it up. So I'm going to start now by taking the sort of main bits off, and we're going to get it sort of into that state where it's heading towards getting the neck done. So get some strings out of the way and put the amp on the floor. Yeah, so Gould, surprisingly unknown brand. I mean, there is a brand called Guild, and there are people who think that Gould is a sort of cheapskate version or a rip-off version of Guild, and it's kind of hard not to think that when you do hear guitar makes with such similar names. But this is the second Gould that I've got. And I have to say they're all round fairly convincing at the moment. This thing's pretty filthy, so I'm going to do the usual with taking it all off. Oh, before I do, let me just see what the action height was. It's not bad actually. It was noticeable. I played it for a couple of hours in the office earlier this week. So that's inches. I don't like those things. Let's do it in millimeters. So we got. I guess we're at 2 millimeters at the 21st fret, which is higher than I'd like it, but not hugely high and playable, so quite nice. These strings are too horrible and old to keep, so I'm just going to literally slack them off and cut them off. Hello. Hello. It's foul out there, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm so sweet from talking. Dinner's ready in 10 minutes.
Cool, thank you.
Right.
Yeah. Ta. Yep. So yes, foul weather out there. So off comes the various bits and pieces. As I say, we're not going to keep the strings from this thing because they are too old and horrible. We'll just start getting it ready, and then we'll switch to another guitar. We've got a fair few things to do this weekend. One of them a paid thing for a customer. So now this week we'd like to introduce to you the beauty of industrial size naphtha, lighter fluid as we know it. So from now on you're going to see me using gallons of this stuff to do my cleaning. Bearing in mind, of course, it is highly flammable, so you have to be kind of careful. Thankfully I don't smoke, although I did years ago. So now I can give myself fairly hefty glugs of this stuff to go all over the guitar and just give it a really nice hello, welcome to the workshop, freshen up. And also to be able to do that without worrying about running straight out of it, like with a little tin from the shop, from the newsagent. So, industrial size, I bought 5 litres. The cat wants to go out. Go on, how'd you go? Go on. 5 litres from the internet, and that was £29, so quite a lot of stuff. A container down there somewhere, but it's nice to have more than you need, and it also means that I don't have to go anywhere near that evil Mr. Sheen polish. It is such a bad thing. So just giving it a quick all round. Don't you dare bite into my customer's guitar bag, okay? It's not for you to play with. So quick all over just to get rid of the sort of immediate obvious goo. But yeah, I'm quite impressed with these Goulds, whether or not they're trying to copy some other well-known brand. What's that? It's interesting. Okay, one of the tuna ferrule things, whatever they call them, has just popped itself out and flung itself on the floor, so I might as well take the other ones off in anticipation of... No, not the same, it's not going to happen. Right, so yes, so the name of Gould, never really heard it before. Not terribly well spoken of online in various different places, but not badly spoken of. There are a few people who've said things like, you know, if you set one up right, they're really good guitars, and my experience has been that so far. I've got the one other Gould guitar, which actually, you know, is nicely built. It's got a reassuring feel, a bit like this has. However, it has since sprung a few problems which I've yet to take care of. One of them actually was quite a significant one. It came with the neck, what should we call it? The bit where the nut joins, well, the end of the neck basically. If you imagine taking the nut off, you've got a cut end of the neck. That was actually cut wonky. It was cut like that. So when the nut sat on, the nut also sat on like that. So I had to cut it back down, or file it back down till it was exactly perpendicular, parallel to the frets. And that was actually quite a big deal, I suppose, in terms of the intonation. So, you know, quality control didn't do a terribly good job there. So not fantastic, but you know, if you're prepared to take care of those little things and sort them out, then what you're left with is a sort of reassuring feeling of guitar. And I think with a bit more work on that one, it will be a nice all-round guitar. Whether it's sort of exciting enough to want to really live with, I'm not really sure yet. And the same applies to this one. I think what we're going to get out of this job is a very all-round good guitar. I think it will be. I think we'll get quite a. Where's the lid? We'll get a surprisingly good guitar out of this. But whether it's kind of enough to excite your passion is another matter altogether. So I'm going to chuck all the bits as they come off into a container, which we will label up in a minute. I'm just conscious that the dinner is about to be served. So, yeah, I guess the thing here then is we're going to take all of this off and give everything a clean. There's a screw here holding the truss rod cover on, which has been stripped, so we may struggle to get that one out, even with whatever screwdrivers we've got. I think it's going to come. It'd be good to replace it rather than try and use it again. Now these tuners, I have to say, look on first glance pretty good, and there's no real reason necessarily to take them out unless there's some fault with them. It's probably a good idea just to leave them in place. So the only thing that came off without any choice about it was the sort of, I don't know what they're called, string bits that go on the outside, the sheath or something that goes on the outside of the tuner post. I'm stuck for words at the moment, I think it's my old age. Anyway, so you can see they're kind of Clousson style vintage tuners. I have to say they feel as good in operation as any of the ones I've seen on any other similar kinds of copies, so got no problems at all with them. I'm going to also take off the scratch plate and get under there, give it a bit of a dust down, and as we go I will also take off the strap buttons and things like that, so they're out of the way. There's always a little nut that goes with that. Give that a clean. I've got a guitar in the house which is a gold top, made by Harley Benton, sort of online brand, but actually surprisingly good, and it came similar sort of style, but it had P90s, has P90s, and I took the scratch plate off because I quite like the way it looks without it. So let's try and get these knobs off. Some of them come off. Sometimes you can do it, sometimes you can't. There's a great little trick I saw on some forum that showed how to use 2 spoons and a cloth, or some cloths and two little teaspoons to make perfect little levers to get kittens. Perfect levers to get the pots, the knobs off, and I think it's a really clever little trick. I tend to use 2 pieces of plastic, but I do the same thing, really just lever them off. Okay, so we've pretty much got ourselves a nice clean starting point. I'm just going to take off strap buttons. The felt pad looks like it could do with a bit of renewal or something, but again, it's all good stuff that we can give a clean to, so everything feels a bit fresher when we put it back together again. When it comes to it, I will have a look under the electrics. Working at the moment, so nothing to really meddle with. It'd be nice to just see what we've got. And let's get this quick going over on the front here. Not sort of a very stately looking headstock on these guitars. I don't think they'll be to everyone's taste. As I said, I think earlier, they're not very rock and roll. They're actually quite sedentary looking. They do look like an older person's guitar. I know they'll probably do a really good job selling that. But I think it looks quite classy in its own way. I am going to right now knock off the, if I can find a screwdriver, I'm going to knock off the nut on this guitar, because I won't be keeping that. It's already damaged, broken in 2 anyway, so yeah. It was already broken, they've glued it badly in place, so that's going straight in the bin. I've got a number of replacements, but I've ordered a bone one to replace that, so I'm going to probably hold off until that comes. I thought a bone one would be a bit classier. Okay, so I'll take these things off as well, so I can just have a quick look underneath and also clean the bits before we put them back on. This guitar has some scratches, so it could use a bit of a polish. I think we've got the kit to do that right now, so why not? No reason why not to make something as good as it can be, given what we've got in front of us. Takes a bit of elbow grease, of course, but I don't mind that at all. And then this plastic is interesting. It's sort of it's not the usual clear stuff. It's slightly dimpled, so it's got a matte finish to it. A bit more scratch resistant, I suppose. Well, this is interesting. It's all nice and basic in there. Nothing. Small pots. Big chips taken out of the surrounding wood, but no problems really. Nothing unexpected. So we'll just leave that off so I have access to the jack plug socket, which I can feel spinning, but I need to do some, just tighten that up. But we can leave everything in its in the bucket. So yeah, all round, just turning the tuners, they're all fairly positive and direct. There's a little bit of wobble, but not too much. Yeah. Okay. So just for now, I'm going to hang this back up and come back a little bit later. So it goes onto the hall of, or the Henry Ford production line, I suppose you could call it, industrialised guitar production line. And over here go its component parts, safely on the newly liberated shelf, so we've got plenty of room, which is brilliant. Right, I'm going to stop everything, and go and get something to eat. If I can press the right buttons, and I shall see you very shortly. Good evening. We're back on the Gould Les Paul copy, and Thomas is going to be helping out with the fret levelling, or fret checking and then fret levelling, followed by fret polishing. And I'm going to show him the real love guitar way of knowing that we're in the right place when it comes to doing the polishing, because I've done it a few times where I've got to the end, it all looks great. In fact, you've still got scratches on there, and it's really easy to get wrong, as I've proved, but I've since worked out a way of doing it that works. So this guitar, this is going to be bolted onto the end of the previous bit of video saying welcome to the Gould guitar. But one of the things I've noticed since getting this guitar is this logo here is exactly the same logo as a Tanglewood guitar. Did you know that?
Not.
And I've no idea why.
Same company, different name?
I can't see any evidence to show that's the case. Anyway, Thomas, well, I'd like you to just check out that the level fretness.
See if we can beat 15.
Yeah, what do you reckon? Just as a thought about it.
Give us history on this.
History on this guitar. I bought it from a guy in London. That's all I know about it. It came from a guy called Felix, and Felix didn't even meet him. He ended up delivering the guitar on his bike to my workplace, and so I never met the guy. But I think it's really quite a nice quality guitar. We've got one in the house, which is the semi-acoustic version, which I can't remember what the frets were like on that one, because it's not on there.
Oh.
It's not on there. It's before I kept a record of it. So
I reckon maybe
standard Les Paul
50.
around 70.
You reckon 70?
Yeah. Where's Megan's? Oh no, Megan's was a 60%.
Yeah, 60. So
Okay, 65.
you reckon
Yeah,
65?
I don't see any reason why it'd be any better than that.
Yeah, but there's no reason why it'd be worse.
Let me just check one thing before we do any of this. Remember what we got to check?
Oh yeah, we forgot
Level.
this time.
Yeah, I forgot, and it isn't bloody level, is it? It's
Convex. Concave?
What's the one where it sticks up like a lump? Bendy.
Nice.
You know what I mean? What's that? Convex. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to need to take convex out of it. So let's find what kind of ends has it got in there?
Small.
That sort of thing.
Yeah. Let me have a look.
And we know, according to my
Oh, that was
first go.
wow. It's got a little bit of movement in
Okay,
it, but
we're going to need to take it
pretty much perfect.
counterclockwise, right? So I reckon 45 degrees. Crank.
45?
Yeah. See what it feels like. Going. There you go. Yeah, rule number one when you're doing this, get your neck straight. Blimey. I actually learned something about these Les Paul guitars the other day when I was doing Megan's, which really didn't surprise me. Now, this isn't the way you do it, by pressing the neck and straightening it out. A bump on one side. Give it a little bit more.
How much? Just
that much.
Nice. It's about there.
Yeah.
About halfway.
Yeah. Yeah. Something really interesting I learned about these when I looked at Megan's guitar. It went like this: straight, dip, like that.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh God, this is broken or something wrong with it. But then if you actually stop and think about it, look at this whole construction. The whole of this section is held glued against there.
This bit's going to...
And that's 3 times the thickness almost of this bit. So if this bit's going to bend, that bit can't bend at all. So on a Les Paul, you are always going to get...
There's a cat in here.
Probably. On a Les Paul, you're always going to get this bit, actually right up to the point where this comes down to the normal thickness. So from about here to here, it's always going to be stiff.
It's never going to change, and then this bit's obviously free to do what it wants at that point.
Okay.
Is it done?
You're close. I mean, it's still got that kind of shelf on it where this first bit is sticking up, and it's kind of goes off down a hill after that, but it doesn't go into a curve. It just goes on a slope from that point. So I don't think we can do anything more with that.
Okay then.
Right. So let's call that as good as it's going to be.
using none now.
No, just a bit of everything, really. Isn't it? We just want to keep it.
Do you want to put
quite
that
flexible.
closer to there? So that
No, actually, I only just want it to be just. What do I want it to be?
You want it there? That's where I'd.
I suppose. Yeah, I suppose. Okay. Right. So checking time.
Tool we use is this piece of metal. It's amazing. You can use a credit card, but this is, more precise. What I do with this is put it over 3, and you hear that?
I can.
It checks this middle fret here. You can't do this one or the last one because you can't get at that. It's not accurate, obviously.
Nuts in the way.
So you just rock it. It's called a fret rocker. You just rock it, and if it makes a sound, it means this one is disproportionate to these two.
Yeah.
So
it's interesting that it's all relative.
Yeah.
So you don't really know which one's high because you could get these two could have low spots in them, and then you go, oh look, that's a high one. In fact, that's actually correct.
Yeah.
And those are low, but relatively, it makes sense. You can say relatively, it's high compared to the others. Thinking what I need to be doing whilst you're doing that.
Polishing something maybe.
Yeah, I've got the blue. I have got the blue. Affinity Strat body. I've got 2 more guitars coming tomorrow as well.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Work.
More. Tomorrow's is a music teacher. I suppose I could do this standing up like a paint palette.
You could.
I haven't got a life to lead. No, I might as well use my time sensibly.
Didn't take up too much of my workspace.
Oh no, I'm standing out of the way, see? I've got it like a palette. Don't interfere at all. So the whole point of this fret levelling game is that for us the fret levelling is the heart of a really good setup. And often people do fret dressing when they have frets that are worn or marked, and the fret dressing where you take off the top of the fret and then repolish it is very good for restoring the surface of the fret and can make it feel like it plays a hell of a lot better. Fret levelling is all of that, but it's more. It's actually making sure all the frets are exactly at the same level, and there's no physical way to do that without doing it kind of destructively with a file from the top. And people say, well, why would you do that? Well, it's not just to make the surface shiny and take out any finger grooves, which often you can get from playing open chords on, you get the individual string grooves. What it does is it allows you to lower the action more than you could do without doing the fret level, because on most guitars the action here is set high enough to mask any problems with high frets, and that's almost universally the case, and people don't know about it. They just try and get a low action, find it buzzes, take the action back a little bit and call it quits. And so what we do when we do the fret level, it means we've got full kind of freedom to decide how low the action is.
Which gets rid of all of the problems there, and you usually don't have any buzz or anything like that.
Yep.
Notice something already.
What?
None there. Bit in the middle. There.
Yeah,
None
they're opposites of each other.
Yeah.
Often you get that. I've tried to work out what that actually means, but it just gives me a headache, because it's really hard to figure out what it's actually telling you.
Couldn't it be about the fact that the neck is slightly humped?
I don't know. I've tried to figure out if you do often get these patterns that seem to be opposites of each other, and then you go, so if that's high and this is low, but then that's high and this is low comparatively, that means that one has to be going like a C shape and that one has to be going like a D shape. And I don't understand why that would be. This is called hand polishing without using a motor or a drill or a car polishing unit.
Peaceful.
Yeah, tiring. Good way to burn a bit of energy up. I'm on the G10 stuff at the moment, which is pretty good. And then after that I'll use some quite expensive and scratch remover stuff that I got via eBay from the States. And although it's kind of meant for spot removal of certain scratching, surface scratching, it actually makes a really good final going over for any guitar that you're trying to bring back to life a bit. And this guitar, part of me doesn't quite know why I'm doing this. I mean, it's a nice affinity Strat, and there's nothing wrong with the body and the electrics, but the neck that goes with it is the one that somebody's tried to cut off with a hacksaw, and I filled it and refinished it a bit. So actually, it's going to be quite a nice neck when it's finished. And I've lacquered down the fingerboard and I'm going to polish that up to a sort of silky finish. But it's always going to have a half chopped off neck. So I don't know whether we'll be able to sell that to anyone.
Well, you need a new abomination, don't you?
Yeah.
You could turn it into another one.
Well, I bought it mainly for the parts, but
yeah.
I'm always like that when I see a kind of injured underdog of a guitar. I like to try and fix it up. Can't just leave it be. So what's it looking like so far? Pretty standard? Yeah. Every fret, I think. Every fret but one.
That one's not got one. So maybe it's a 90% job, maybe.
Could be the new bottomed out. Having said that, the second from bottom, or up till yesterday, the bottom, which was the Ace Pro SG, that's actually turned out now with a full fret level, turned out to be a brilliant playing guitar. And I'm hoping that the same is going to apply to the Sun Mustang, which yesterday, before I levelled the frets, was a stinker. And hopefully the same thing will apply to it even better than the...
So I could have the top and the bottom.
You might.
Again, and the middle.
If you carry on at the rate it is on there, you'll be bottom of the fret leaderboard of shame. And it's funny we often think about how can it be that these guitars go out with the frets being so uneven. You know, whether it doesn't really matter whether one's high or one's low. The truth is they're just uneven relative to each other, and you have to wonder why that is. What makes it okay to chuck it out from the factory like that? I mean, presumably it must play well enough or to a certain level that people go, "Yep, job done."
Maybe
Next.
They just don't even think about it like that because it is mass produced, isn't it? So
yeah, but some of the ones that you'd think, for example, like a Fender Custom Shop.
True.
What guitar was it? I was thinking Fender Custom Shop.
Your brother's?
Yeah, Telly.
Yeah.
That had loads of uneven frets on it as well.
But wouldn't that have been through wear?
No, it was uneven in that sort of way.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, uneven from the factory type. Which is just mad, really.
Yeah.
And that's 2,000 odd quid's worth of wonderful custom shop.
Don't call it wonderful. It's horrible.
It was a horrible colour. I didn't like the colour, that's for sure.
Purple and green.
It was an okay guitar
Okay.
to play. It's a big, fat, chunky neck. I have to sit down because this is wearing me out. So things in the guitar world have been getting quite busy. We've got a few to go out this week, and hopefully we're going to try and get all of our stock done and out this week, which is theoretically a week off work. It's a chance to get out into the shed and sort a few things out.
Yeah, you can have a little clean up.
I haven't bought a guitar for ages. Did you know that?
Did not.
I can't think what the last one was. Oh, I know what the last one was. I think the last one I received was was this red cherry vintage guitar, the one that came in a box, empty, in a thin little cardboard box, not even a corrugated cardboard, just a plain cardboard box with about 8 little squares of foam thrown in randomly, and this guitar is just banging about. And actually, interestingly, it bent the tuners on it, and I wrote to the guy, the seller, and said, before I give you feedback, eBay says to contact you and tell you if something isn't right, so I'm not happy with the way you packed it. And he asked me, I said the tuner was bent, and he asked me which one was bent, and I told him, and then he went silent, so I'm going to have to give him shitty feedback. since he hasn't made any attempt to put it right.
Keyboard warrior.
I hate it though when people do really I mean, what was the point of being such a rubbish packer? You know, of all the things you're trying to sell your stuff on eBay, presumably he wants to carry on selling, or he wants to sell again sometime. Why do it so badly? There's no way I'd buy again from this guy. You know, when I told him, I was very clear about it, and I said, you know, I've got to say, it's the worst packaging I've ever seen. You know, it arrived with nothing, and you'd think that if he was interested in selling on eBay, he'd at least say, "Oh God, really? Is it not good enough? Wouldn't you buy from me again if it was packed like that?" And he didn't. So you have to sort of wonder sometimes what people are doing, what planet they're on.
It makes a difference from some of the ones that I've unpacked.
Yeah, which are impossible to get into.
Yeah, some of them come wrapped in like 5 boxes, like 50 metres of foam, and bubble wrap. It's just impossible to get into.
I have a feeling that's what people are going to feel like when they get ours.
Yeah.
They are rather well packed. But it's better to get them there in one piece than to run the risk of it being snapped up or snapped
Flat
by.
pack guitars could be a thing.
Yeah.
Invented by IKEA shed. Yeah, this one's pretty bad.
What do you reckon? 85?
Yeah, probably close to the 90s actually.
A new front runner on the leaderboard of shame. That'd be cool. The legendary V100 that took the top prize in this. Actually, I think I was a bit dishonest about it. It was probably more like 20-25%.
No, it was about
rather than
15.
No, it was
about
a bit
15.
over enthusiastic.
No, you weren't. That was about 15.
Anyway, it was still way
Do not
better.
dampen my...
It was still considerably better than any of the others, and still for sale, that one. So somebody has yet to buy it, although somebody was inquiring about that tonight. So hopefully we'll have a seller or buyer.
There we go. And done.
So you want a little bit of mathematician's nightmare? Count how many frets we got in total. Never assume, because I don't know.
16, so it's 16 unlevelled.
Out of how many total minus those two? Either end. 16, that's horrendous.
1, 2, 3.
Not too bad. I bet you'll be coming at 80%.
22.
Take away the 2 you can't get to.
20.
16 out of 20 years.
I'm not in school
New
anymore.
second low place.
Second.
80%.
80%?
Spot on. So grab one of those stickers. Not stickers, one of them bits of blank paper.
What am I putting it?
We'll just pull one off for now and we'll stick it where it belongs and I'll readjust it later on. If we'd had a proper TV studio leaderboard, we would have had magnetic thing.
We do.
No, it would be magnetic.
What was this one called again?
That's the Gould.
Gould.
Gould. Les Paul copy.
How much was it again? 80.
80%.
Spelt Paul wrong accidentally.
Les Paul.
Paul, yeah.
Okay. And just tack it to the side right next to the Ace Pro.
Just like that.
And I'll rearrange all of them a bit later on.
There we go.
Hurrah!
Next part then.
Okay, so you remember what we do, don't you?
I'm not going to talk it through.
Oh yeah. All right. So the next bit of the game now. Thomas has marked up the uneven frets. If you're going to use this tool that Thomas has got, which is the Evil Fret Leveling File, what's really good about it is it does all your fret leveling very quickly and very evenly.
All at once.
All at once. And the good thing about that is that you don't actually technically need to go around and check which frets are level and which aren't. You can just mask off your neck, make sure it's straight, and then just fire away. That's okay. So
The only reason we do it is for the
yeah, we do it for
thing
just
of
general
leaderboard.
information and for seeing over time which are the worst factory setup guitars, which is kind of emerging that
I think
vintage is
it's,
the best. Yeah.
Vintage and Les Paul the worst.
And the Jackson is quite good.
Well, we've only had one Jackson in, haven't we?
Mind you, I think what's possibly the case is that Jackson may well have been set up before by someone else.
Ah.
So we could, this isn't the most honest, no, the most transparent thing. It could
Well,
be that something's already been fret levelled, in which case we won't know.
providing we get more of them, though, could show more.
We'll see a
accurate.
trend, we'll see a trend.
Yeah.
Okay, so even though you don't need to do the checking and marking bit, what Thomas is going to do now is going to use the marker pen to put a layer of black permanent marker across the top of each fret. And we're doing that because it's a great way of seeing which part of the fret we've already touched with the file when we start doing the fret levelling. And we'll use the marker pen twice in this whole operation, once at this point and then once a bit later on when we're doing the reshaping of the fret, which we have to do once we've levelled the frets, because the levelling puts a big flat spot on top of the fret, which is not great for playing the guitar, so we have to take that off by reshaping the fret. One of the things that Thomas is going to take great care not to do is to get any of this pen onto the masking tape next to the fret, because the masking tape is flat against the fretboard. What happens is it has a capillary action and it sucks the black ink straight through onto the fingerboard, and then I have to
I
work.
might have done that on one of them.
I have to then
Two, maybe.
sand it off with micromesh afterwards. Believe it or not, there is no solvent in the world that will get it out.
Tested.
Yes, I have tested.
It smells lovely.
So, yeah, just keep it lightly on top and don't go down the sides of it.
Harder than said than done.
Yep. So this is stage 2. Stage 1 was leveling. Stage 1 is leveling the frets. Stage 2 is re-profiling them, and stage 3 is polishing them. So
Your favourite bit.
Yes, we're still on stage 1, but you'll see that it's quite quick once we get the marking done. The thing that probably takes the most time in this whole operation is the first bit which you didn't see, which was putting the masking tape on, and the last bit which you will see, which is the polishing the frets with sandpaper of different grades to get it exactly smooth again. Okay, so Thomas has marked all that up, and then he's going to other way around.
No, I'm just doing it. I was just doing that because of the face.
Okay.
You've got to see the face.
Okay.
You've got
So
to see, well,
Thomas is going
not the
to
hands over the eyes, but
start and use the fret file. Now he knows what the state of the fretboard is. He's done the marking. He's done the checking. So you're going to know whether you've got loads or not much, because in checking it you would have noticed how big the rocking was. Right?
there's quite a bit on some of them.
Right, so you'll have a sense that where there's a lot of rocking, you'll probably end up having to take it down quite a long way to get out. You'll get some bits that are left which are black marker pen, and there will be trenches or troughs that you'll have to go down to get to. So when you're ready...
Which way do you want me to start from? Top or bottom?
I'll go that way. You've got clearance over the pickup there, right?
True, yes.
Okay, so you can start at that end and just nice and smooth, same pressure all the way, because you want to make sure you get that first and the last. And just go down. It's just really important that the file is kept flat all the way down its travel. And what can you see once you've done the first run?
Well, some of the bits. Well, it seems to have caught all of them. But there's some that I think the other frets, it's gone over some of the higher frets and missed them.
So the lower frets have been missed.
Yeah.
If you think about it, they're sort of cowering in the troughs. Okay, so you need to come out to this edge a little bit. And go back over this edge.
You want me to go back over there?
Yeah. And keep it all flat from the beginning. Keep it coming. Try and make it as smooth as you can. Okay, so what I can see is we are catching some of them and we're missing some altogether. So some are clearly quite a bit lower than others relative.
Yeah.
Okay, so keep going up. Nice smooth pressure from the beginning. And then move towards the centre.
And eventually towards the end. Missing these few, so I'll go back down them at some point.
Okay, so
I hate the light.
yeah, it's not brilliant, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
So
this one's quite low. Wait, is it this
that one you're not seeing.
This one.
That one's not getting a bite at all.
No.
Okay, we'll start at this end and put quite fair pressure. You've got a good support here. Start with the fat end there.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, I'm
And
just do it from the other side.
And just check its level before you start. Make sure it's sitting on there, and then just pull a nice stripe down towards the other end.
I'm doing it from this end.
Yeah.
All right. Preferences.
Whatever.
Preferences.
And hang it off the edge with a little bit of a tilt first, because you want to get. There's a real flat one there,
Which one?
somewhere in there.
One of them.
So you see, go right to the edge again. Go right to the edge. Go half off, and then tilt it over a little bit, just about 3 mils or something, and then just go all the way down there with the tilt still applied. So what have you got?
I've got one missed there, so that one, these two might be high, that one's low.
Okay.
One.
We'll go over
there.
the rest of them. Keep coming this way. Do a full lot, so you feel that you've got all of them once in each direction, and then reevaluate.
The sound it makes when you're grinding them down is horrible.
Yeah,
That little squeak.
especially if it starts skipping. It's a horrible feeling. Have you got all the way to the edge then?
Mm-hmm.
Let's have a look. Can I come around the other side? Look in the light. It is a bit crappy light.
Yeah. It's hard to see.
Okay.
I'll take a little bit of a break now. You can do.
Just
You can finish it off.
stay here and see what it is.
Oh yeah, no, I'm sitting here.
Okay. Gonna zoom in, and it's not good for the camera view, but we might see a bit better.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, you have to move around sometimes to see where it is. There are definitely 1 or 2 frets which are being missed out altogether. And interestingly, the bit that's taking... Actually, here's something that's worth looking at, Thomas. Look, can you see this here? You marked this up and said that was high all the way. Well, look what the proof is.
Yeah.
High all the way, right? You said that was high. Look at that.
Yeah, that's high.
It's taken exactly the bit off that you said was high. Same there. So it's really, what you do is really accurate.
Yeah. Well, I am one for accuracy.
After a while, you kind of get the confidence up to just fire away and get the whole lot done in a few big stripes. Sometimes you get your sleeve caught in the thing, which isn't brilliant. Okay, so again, I can see taking a lot off, quite a bit off that, quite a bit off that, quite a bit off that, mostly off that, oh, loads off that, a little tiny bit there missed out. That's half of that's done, and half, there's a little spot there not touched. These actually, where they're uneven, they're very uneven.
Really?
It's quite, yeah, you can see there's chunks where the fret next to it hasn't even been touched, and yet the ones either side have had loads taken off. So the thing is, you've got to keep going. This is the horrible, scary bit. You've got to keep going, really, until you reach the bottom. And there's no real way around it, because if you don't, you're still going to have an uneven fret in the whole mix. And if you have an uneven fret, it's going to cause problems when you play certain notes. So I'm trying to cut my way down on this end bit here to these hidden troughs. And you can hear I'm doing quite a bit of hard work on it. Now some of these frets I've been taking loads off them to get to these things. It's scary as hell. You think there'll be nothing left by the end of this, and
Is it as bad as Bob's?
it's got its own set of problems, that's for sure. I'm just going to take a little bit off the ends here. Even though it looks really scary and you've taken loads of material, we've taken loads of material off, the fret reprofiling operation will reshape them, so it won't matter even if it looks awful now. But there's still 2 spots on here that really stand out, or 2 or 3, that really stand out as not even getting hit by the file. And it's those. Actually, there's quite a few. See where they are? It's quite a bit.
In the middle.
And I'm trying like hell to get this one, to reach this one, without grinding everything into the ground. But we're sort of nearly having to do that. Wow, amazing. Just going at it, in the hope that we eventually get there. Did we touch that one? Have we got everything? Have we just about touched everything?
Touch this one, you've touched this one, you've got a little bit there.
Yeah, and that one's still,
miles
off. How much further off is that one, do we think? We've no idea. Let's check it with this.
Might have a visitor in it.
Actually,
Got a cat skulking around.
that's hardly any. Okay, I'm gonna just come back this way a little bit on all of these, and then. So you can see that from what you started, I've had to be quite brutal.
Yeah.
And maybe a little bit more aggressive with this than you were to get where we're getting. I'm going to stop at that. I can't really take much more away to try and dig out that particular hole. All of these now are ready to be reshaped.
This is number 1.
Okay, so scary stuff, right? You've got to be quite vicious. If we reached a place where we could, this hole or these dents were so big that we couldn't get down to them and leave enough fret material to work with, then what you're facing is a refret. And you kind of have to make that decision whether, as you're getting down, do you refret just one fret, or do you refret the whole lot?
The whole thing.
And it's a difficult decision. And sometimes when you're doing a second-hand guitar like this, you'll only know by keeping on going, and you still reach a place where you think, actually, this is just not viable at this point in time. But it's, you know, the great thing about second-hand guitars like this is they're not a huge amount of money. You know, if you get this completely wrong, well, you've got a neck to practice refretting, which is a skill that we haven't done yet, so, you know, good to learn. Okay, back to you.
Back to me.
Lift that off and give it a good brush down of all the swarthy bits, please.
Swarthy bits.
Yeah, all the scary metal, sharp killer bits. Because we don't want them getting into proceedings. So, see if you remember now what the next part was.
Next part. If recollection serves me well.
Recollectivity.
Yeah. Permanent marker it again.
Yep.
And then use this.
Can you explain what this part of the operation is?
So-
Mind up, Morris. Move.
So after we've used this, it's basically made all the frets from rounded to square, pretty much.
I've got a piece of a pad of what's it called? I had a pad of paper somewhere.
No.
No.
Let's see where.
Here. Shall I draw it? Oh. That's for the next bit. Shall I draw the first bit? Or do you want to draw?
Sure. Do you want to draw it? Why not?
Oh,
I can't draw very well, but sure.
Oh, splurge everywhere. Yeah, so the purpose is to... We've got a load of frets with a big flat top on them. In fact, more than usual, haven't we? That's what we've done. And that's not good from a perspective of... it's hopeless to play. You can't. The strings won't go over that very well, and it also messes up the intonation because the intonation point of the string, of the fret, is in a completely different position, than it is when the fret is rounded, as Thomas is now drawing, or something.
Yeah, so before, in my amazing drawing, we had frets that were like this, but they were uneven.
That's brilliant. I love your fret file.
Yeah.
With little bits of swarf coming off.
Yeah. So you've got your frets here, which was before we used this, and they were rounded, but they were uneven. So we have to use this to make them all the same level, as not shown by the drawing, with the little bits of metal coming off. But by doing that, you make them kind of squared, so like they're flat on the top, and then they don't have that same shape, which is needed for
correct intonation.
Correct intonation.
And also, right now they're full of horrible grooves from the fret file, which would scratch like hell. And in fact, even when we polish them out, even the tiniest microscopic scratch makes bending a string horrible.
Yeah.
So we've got to really go to town on rounding it off and polishing it.
So what we do is we use this thing, as illustrated by that, not very well, to round them all off again, for precisely the reason Sam just said. Yeah.
And so what Thomas has got in his hand is a very expensive tool.
Where'd you put this going?
Anywhere behind me. A very expensive tool bought in the US from StewMac, but it's worth every penny compared to other things that I've used before, which I won't mention because I got into an argument with somebody about them, even though I praised it. Anyway, quick thought: are these what size calibre frets do you think these are?
I reckon they're medium.
Yeah. They look medium to me. They're not jumbo. A good reference point is jumbos like those on the Sun Mustang, and you can see they're really big, thick.
Yeah, they're not like this.
So you want to make sure you've got the M side of the file, and that's the only criticism that I or anybody else has of that file, is that StewMac didn't put any marking on to tell you which side is which.
So I've marked this all off again, because when we use this, it does the exact same thing as a big fret leveling monster thing, but it does it in a shape. Can you not, please? We have a kitten that's going around my legs. Go away. Get over this.
So the way I describe it is it's shaped like that. Hold your hand up.
Like this.
Yeah, and the fret is underneath like that.
The fret's underneath like this.
Yeah. See? There you go.
And it makes it rounded again. Go away.
Morris.
Right, so what did we say? This is medium?
Yeah, you want to go medium. Yeah? Now you've got, just a quick thought before you do it, you're on the jumbo side again.
Yeah.
You've got, go up to that end, right, where the frets meet the body, you've got that curved edge.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And the curved edge allows you to get to the toppermost frets without dragging, see, it lifts the edge of your thing up. If you try to do it with a straight edge, turn it over and do it with a straight edge. Turn it over.
Oh, this
do it with a straight edge. Now look, to get to the edge of the file, come right to this near edge of the fret.
What do you want about this
right,
edge?
Yeah. Imagine you're trying to curve that over. You see how your tool is touching the body of the guitar?
Yeah, yeah.
Right. No puns.
Morris.
No giggling schoolboy puns.
I wasn't giggling that. I was giggling at
Anyway, on we
Morris.
go. On we go.
Trying to climb up my leg.
So, Thomas, what is the aim of your using that now?
To stop it from being square.
Yep. And how are you going to know when you've got to the right place?
Oh, because you'll have a very fine line in the middle of the fret where this hasn't touched.
Which then tells you...
Which then tells you you've taken off enough.
Right. And it means that you haven't taken too much off or any more off the top, which means they're all going to be level, since you've just levelled them. Since you've cut off half the metal in levelling them. Use the whole, while you've got it there, use the whole length of that thing, just fire it down there.
I was doing that.
Let the diamonds do their stuff.
But diamond?
Yeah, it's got diamond particles on it, that's why it's so bloody expensive.
Carbon. I was doing that, I was just being precise for the edges.
Very well. That's real diamonds, mate, not carbon. I know carbon's a diamond.
Do not try to chemistry me, sir.
Out of chemistry, you.
Yeah. So this usually would be the quickest bit if Sam was doing it, but it will probably take longer because it's me doing it, and I like being precise. Which is nothing wrong with that, it just means...
It is, because
It'll take more time.
No, that's right, because you think now you're on an hourly rate, you're going to stretch it out. I'm not stupid.
No, I'm just being... I've always been like this. You know that.
Like that.
Go on. There we go. How's that one coming along? Polishing wise?
Don't know, but stop looking at it on my time. Keep going. Actually, what are they jumbo? Oh, they are jumbo now, but they weren't. Jesus Christ, cat.
It's lucky that was off camera.
No, it's not off camera.
It was off
It's
camera.
a wide angle. You
Oh,
can see
look,
everything.
you won't be able to see
Yeah, you
that.
will, promise you.
Well, you go back over it.
Yeah, well, that's the cat nearly having its legs broken by me sitting on it.
Let's not bring up broken legs now, shall we? Guinea pigs.
Oh my God, that was so many years ago, Thomas. Let
You
it go.
tried to murder the guinea pigs.
Let it go.
Sam had a disagreement with the guinea pig and tried to kill it once.
It's not true.
It is true.
We had one of those movable guinea pig hutches, and I went to move it to get it eating a new patch of lawn, and it had other ideas, with a result that it tangled with the housing of the cage. It wasn't my fault. And the fact that I paid immediately to have it taken to the vet and put in a splint
That's because you felt guilty for trying to murder
wasn't
it.
out of guilt.
You want to keep up appearances.
wasn't out of any sort of guilt. It's because I loved it dearly.
Loved it dearly enough to kill it. Almost.
I didn't like the guinea pigs, I have to say, they were boring animals.
They were not.
They were
The sounds they made were brilliant.
weep, weep, weep.
Yeah, after you played with it.
Come on, if your hourly rate, if your productivity is too low, we'll have to cancel the contract. You know that.
We'll have a look at this fret.
No, you have to carry on going. I've got to trust-
Well, then you have to trust in my judgment,
I do.
sir.
I do trust in your judgment. Maybe the last mistake I ever made. As long as you haven't taken any stuff off the top, we can always go over it and be a little bit more aggressive and just take a bit more off.
You know what, I'm going to be thorough and quick with all of them and go over them again in a minute. It's probably quicker.
What's your bench cookies, whatever they call them, bench dogs?
Bench dog tool.
Don't fall off.
Bench dog tools. Random name.
They're great for got an overheating computer. Seriously, I used them the other day. It's brilliant for that.
Not just putting it on your lap.
Yeah. Or on the table, just raising it up on those things.
It's imperative that you do leave a little bit of marker on the top, because then that means that's your indicator. If you completely get rid of it, then that means you've taken too much off.
And you're condemning yourself to going back and doing it all again.
Have you had happen before? Had that happen?
No, actually. I don't think so. Where things like that have happened is when I've done the cutting the nut slots and I've gone too far and I've had to fill it with the secret baking powder and super glue fix.
There is one other added ingredient that we can't tell you about, otherwise it's not a secret.
Oh yeah, yeah. But it's quite a good little get out fix. But with with this operation and with the nowadays with the nut slots, I take it really slowly, and I anticipate that they'll cut. I imagine they're going to cut faster than they will. I never really get caught out anyway. And once I got caught out with the Dremel and it clanged on the fret, and made me have to go back and level the whole lot again and start again, which was, since that's the last part of the sequence, it's really depressing.
Mm.
It stopped being difficult.
So there's no half measures with what you're doing. Once you're committed to it, you've got to carry on and finish it, because you can't just kind of slap the strings on and call it quits.
No, at this point you have to do all of it. You can't
You'll never play the guitar again if you try and quit now. Particularly if it's somebody else's guitar.
Mm.
You never play the guitar again because they'll cut your hands off. Scratching on this guitar, where I've tried to evenly work it all off with a different grade of sandpaper, wet and dry, and it's still left me some swirls which are quite deep. I can't get them out. Got some some polyurethane lacquer coming this week. Did you know there's two types of finish?
I did not.
Right, so there are two types of finish, basically, as far as I've been able to
That's really
establish.
annoying.
There's,
Do you know what's really annoying about this?
yeah, I know.
No, I have to,
Work around it.
yeah.
Yeah, there's two types of lacquer finish. There's nitrocellulose, which is what I buy in liquid form and sometimes in cans. And if you're making your own guitar from scratch, you might well use that. That's what I did on the orange one. And that is called, it involves a chemical reaction with nitrogen and something.
Nitrocellulose.
Yeah, something like that. And then there's another kind, which is polyurethane, which is often called, I think it's, from what I can find out, it's called waterborne lacquer, because it's water, I don't know if it's water soluble, but it's carried in.
Do you want to have a look at these?
Yeah. I'm not still there.
Yeah, that one was giving me trouble.
What you might try and do,
The other way. Give me.
what you can do is when you're on it, just tilt a bit, not too heavy, but just tilt a bit one side and then the other, and see what happens. You might get a little bit more off. A bit of movement, too much. Yeah, just do a little bit of rocking, but again, be conscious of that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, just go over them each one a little bit. Nearly there. Yeah, so there's two types of lacquer, and what I have learned so far is that this guitar, for example, this Affinity Squire, in fact all the Affinity Squires, are finished in polyurethane lacquer, which is supposed to be, I don't know, is it harder? It's easier to apply and harder, or more durable or something than nitrocellulose, and cheaper to apply, and also less toxic. So I'm not quite sure what the appeal is or why people still sell nitrocellulose lacquer.
I suppose there's something more appealing about it.
It's apparently common on vintage kind of guitars, so people use it for a more vintage look. I don't know if that's because it yellows quicker or something like that. But probably vintage look because guitars from the 50s and 60s were almost always finished in it. But it's what I've not been able to find out about, and it's really interesting, there doesn't seem to be anything online that's easily available, is whether these two types of lacquer have any kind of mix, or whether you can use one on the other or not. And I've done that. I mean, I've literally, for want of anything better to do, I've actually mixed the two together and got some interesting results out of it, which is probably I wouldn't recommend.
Interesting in a good way, or
yeah, interesting in a good way that it seems to work, but I wouldn't recommend it to anyone because otherwise I'd get shot to death by people on YouTube.
there we go.
Telling me, is this still running, this video?
Yep.
Okay.
51.
You done?
50 minutes 31. Yeah.
Okay, great. Give it a brush down.
This is going to be your bit.
What? Brush down?
No,
There you go.
pushing it bit.
There you go. So now you are ready. Now you've got down to as fine a line as you can with your, which means basically you've reprofiled it. You've cut the shoulders off the flat cross section of the frets, and now it's rounded again like it should be. And what you're going to do now is going to start the process of sanding it.
This is all 600.
Yeah, so what have you got?
320.
Is that the 320? Okay, so what I want you to do is I just want you to start with the 320, using your fingers, pressing your fingers quite hard down. Just go end to end, this end backwards, and cover all the frets evenly.
Just like that?
Just straight down.
Straight down.
Yeah, straight down. Hard, quite hard, but without breaking the guitar. Yeah, point your fingers downwards if you can, so they go into the. Yeah, that's it. And just keep going all the way, making sure you get all the frets in until you run out of sand on that bit of sandpaper.
One word of advice,
What?
if you're going to do that.
Yeah, strap it up some more.
Turn it the other way.
If the sandpaper peels, if the masking tape peels while you're doing it, stop and put some more on, even if you have to cut some more.
Aye.
Right? You can't afford to have that come off while you're doing it, otherwise you'll damage the fingerboard. Just got to be really disciplined with that. Much as you want to just keep on going. Thinking, well, it won't come off anymore. It will. And then by the time you get to the Dremel part, it'll just ruin it.
Come on.
Bored of this. It's not come out.
You can do this bit if you want.
You want to do this bit?
Sure, why not?
No, you don't. So, same pressure. And you'll concentrate on getting all of them done the same amount, so that if you are taking any material off, you're taking the same amount off all of them. And there's a sequence to this, which is, if you think about it, at the moment you've got a bunch of frets with some very, very large gouges on top that came from the fret levelling file.
Yeah.
And your job now is to replace all of those gouges.
Come here. Did you notice this beforehand?
What?
Big dip, a big crunch. So someone's hit.
It's okay, we'll sand that out.
Someone's hit it with something or something like that.
Yeah, I've never seen that. I didn't notice it when I played it, but
It's not something you'd notice because it's going along the fret.
yeah, you might
It's
do
not.
if you were going to bend a string. But
Yeah, but that would imply that the catch would have to be this side, like lateral rather than
Oh, it's okay. Yeah,
someone's
so
hit it.
you've got a bunch of frets with gouges from a fret levelling file on them, and you've got to replace all of those gouges with the scratches from 320 paper,
Aye.
right? And that's what you're looking for when you look at it close up under the magnifying glass. You have to be absolutely thorough and look at every fret, and if you see a single gouge that's still from the old file, I know it's hard to do.
No, it's not that. It's
Just peeling it off again.
it's this bit here. Yeah.
Yeah, if you when looking,
there we go. That's more
when investigating it, if you find even the slightest mark from the file still on there, you can't go forward
No.
to the next level of paper. You've got to stop and carry on with the 320 until you see no more marks from the file. Then you can move to the next grade of paper.
I'll keep a pile here because I'm tidy.
Sure you are. Tomorrow, I think what's coming is a Charvel Sandimas, which is a super strap type of thing, and he said something else, and I forgot what it was. Well, RG Ibanez. Who's also coming tomorrow for an old bloke's musical jam.
Don't wake me up or play too loudly, please.
It'll be 4 o'clock. You'll be up then, won't you?
I don't know. Oh, you.
What have you done?
All the grindings from this. Look at that.
That's right.
Lovely.
You'll brush them off in a minute.
Yeah, lovely.
So if you,
lovely.
when you've worn out the paper completely, you change it, and then make sure you get all right down to including the last step. It's easy to overlook that last one. You feel bad and lonely, so take care of it.
Right. Another good thing about having the leftover marker is that it gets within the grooves that you've used, so you can tell where the grooves are within this.
Yeah, helps you spot them when it comes time to be ruthlessly honest with yourself and see if you've actually cleaned it off. So hard. Shine up. See, with this body, I've just done a similar thing. I've moved on pretty soon. Okay, so it looks like you've got all of the. Do you want to a little brush down? Yeah, I've moved on to the polishes before I've sandpapered out all of the swirls. So I'm.
Do you want to take over this for a bit?
Okay. I'm going to have to go backwards. Now, before we go, I want you to do something. I want you to hold this, and I want you to look, but you're going to have to hold the guitar in some sort of way. So up to the light. I don't know if you can do it. I can do it with one hand when I've got the neck.
Which like this light?
Yeah. Look at get it so you can see right up close, and look at the full length of one fret, and tell me if you think there are any fret file marks, and they're the longitudinal marks, right? And there'll be scratches that are quite deep.
None that I can see.
Okay.
Yeah, not very many.
It can't be. It's got to be
there's,
none.
There's none on one of them and like 2 on another.
Okay. So we've got to be absolutely brutally honest. See, I can see a bunch of little scratches there, and they're on the far side actually. Most of the scratches are still on this edge. So point being is, if we still see them there, we've got to stop and carry on. I'm going to come this way. This paper is coming off willy-nilly.
Yeah, nice. Your devices.
That goes with this light, which I haven't used it.
Oh, you've got a new light.
Yeah, it's not very bright, unfortunately.
Oh, it's pointing the other way.
Yeah, I was trying to light the rest of the shed so that this camera lighting would balance out a bit. Bit of covering up needed. Something wrong here. Let's scrape this off.
Yeah.
Not ideal, is it? Doing something I wouldn't normally recommend doing, but just cut along the bottom of the fret there. Allow us to carry on working on it. So, you've also sandpapered the top of the pickups.
Oh, have I? Oh, yeah, no, I saw that. It was, just took off.
Which isn't brilliant, because they were gold.
Oh, really?
Now they're silver.
Oh.
Wah, wah, wah.
I thought they were just silver.
Nope.
My bad.
You're bad. Oops. knock a couple of quid off your wages.
Workroom hazards.
No, it's not what we want. 320s. Very hard to get the first and the last one. I think they seem to always get ignored. I can still see one with my naked eye here that's still getting in the way.
One of them no name, and then you said it's a Les Paul copy.
Which one?
Megan's one?
Yeah, it's a Les Paul copy, but it had no brand.
Oh.
I mean, the Les Paul is the model.
Yeah. No, I understand that.
But yeah, it had no brand name at all. You probably had one when she bought it, but...
I was just checking out the frets on my guitar actually today. Just playing.
It is a bit of a mess.
And it looks like it might need to come into the workshop.
Really?
Yeah.
What's happened to it?
It's got, you know, a few scratches in the frets and where Harry's probably string mended or something. And we didn't do any work on it.
Oh no.
So,
we probably just intonated it or something and chucked it out the door.
that was exactly what was done.
This is... When your fingers get tired, you can substitute with this pointy edge thing. It kind of works. Also, it allows you to probably use up most of the paper before you run it out. Filthy.
Yeah, the 320 comes off very easy, doesn't it?
Yeah, I don't know whether it's because it's not supposed to be cheap. I think it was 3M paper, but it wears off incredibly quickly. Right, let's have a look. 320 scratches. Place where there were. The other ones seem to have gone. One there on the second fret. Damn it. The time spent here, Thomas, is probably, funnily enough, almost the most important time you can put into this. Mm. If you get this bit right, the rest of it will feel great, even if you've got slightly silver pickup tops. But if you
someone else masked the paper up.
Somebody shouldn't have driven across the top of it.
Someone shouldn't have distracted me.
Somebody stop making excuses.
No, I'm not denying that I did it.
Okay.
Just saying there were reasons for why I did it.
Because you don't want to work in the guitar industry much longer. Right, we are down to the 600 level, or we're down to, we've replaced all the fret file scratches with 320 scratches. So I'm going to chuck away the used up 320 stuff. I'm going to hand you over to my friend in 600.
Well, don't crunch it. Don't.
600 territory, and I'm going to put a bit more masking tape on top of this poor, long-suffering pickup. But I can't use it all up because I've got to have some for tomorrow's work. Right. So that's out of the way. We go to 600.
It's just micro mesh.
Yeah. And what I'd like you to do is you can use this now. Right, and just make sure it's really right in between each one.
I like this bit more than the other bit.
Yeah,
it doesn't hurt my hands. How long do you want me to do this for?
You've got to develop a judgment, and the same thing applies until you've replaced the 320 scratches with. You've got to be conscious of this. We need to get to that one, but we don't need to do that again.
Well, if we do it with this, it's not going to make
It
much
will.
difference.
It will. It's the same. It's a bit less abrasive, but it's still abrasive.
Not as much as that other one.
No,
Well,
that's true.
feel this compared to the 320.
But you'll still take
Just
off.
to prove my point.
I know it is. I understand
Comparison.
what papers do, but you'll still take off the metal off one of these because you're taking metal off there still. It's all right. I can't afford any more. I need to do 2 guitars tomorrow.
You've got a whole tape there.
No, this is packing tape.
No, a whole tape.
I know,
That's
but
a whole thing.
How much does it take to mask off a guitar? Loads. You know that.
No, it doesn't.
You do.
No.
Come on
doesn't
then.
do that.
Hurry up. Hurry up now. Hurry along. Have a look under your microscope. How do you replace the 320?
Don't
with
insult
600?
microscopes with
Well, you
this.
know. Have you replaced the 300 with the 600?
God, I can't see when you take the light away.
Right, and lift up the neck and look at it under a different light. Whatever you've got to do.
I think so.
If
Can I have a
you-
look? Oh. You're going to sit down and leave me to make the judgment call.
Well, you've got to make the judgment call, but you've got to be really, really sure. No pressure or anything.
I think you've put some extra scratches in this. 320 scratches.
Then go back and carry on with the 600. It's okay, you've got all the time to do it. I mean, like I said, it's the most important bit to get right.
Is this all 600?
Yeah, feel the difference. Find yourself a bit of the other stuff if you... There's the other stuff.
Well, is this all 600?
Yeah, feel it. Does it feel the same?
Yeah, well, relatively.
Yeah, there you are then. The answer is relatively yes.
There we go.
Keep going, keep going. If you're not sure, keep going beyond it. You can't do any harm doing more.
God.
It won't do any harm doing it with a rubber pad either.
Yeah, no, it's just
It won't do much
inconvenient.
good either, but
It's
you know.
just inconvenient, isn't it? I need to invent clips for
Mind
this.
your language, you are alive in the house.
I said, you know what we need to do? We need to put a hole through it. Put a hole through that and bolt it so it doesn't slip.
Just need to grip it really hard.
Yeah, but that's more effort than
I know, it's hard.
you
work,
could
isn't
be
it?
using. Productivity.
Talk to me about productivity.
I'm talking to you about productivity, sir.
Young worker, my lad.
We've got the next stuff.
Are you convinced?
Yes, I am.
Shall I check?
If you want.
I'm only going to do it not because I distrust you, but because I distrust you.
Thank you. I appreciate your vote of confidence in me.
Actually, it's quite hard to tell the difference between a 320 scratch and the 600 one. But I'm thinking that is looking okay.
There's quite a lot of this
There's a blemish, a little swine. Yeah, I got plenty of bubble wrap. There's one little mark there, which I'm gonna just give a quick bit more of 600. We were nearly there. Swine. Okay.
Do you reckon that's done?
Yep, now the fun starts. Now we switch to our friends, the micromesh. And I want you to spend a bit more time on this next jump because we're going from 600 to 1500, which is quite a big step in fineness. So give this a couple of minutes and just...
Last time I gave it a couple of minutes, you told me to hurry up.
Now this one you need to give a couple of minutes
And give it
because
2 minutes.
it's 2 minutes because it is a jump quite a big jump. And from this point onwards, it feels like pretty much what you're doing is polishing, which is pretty much what you're doing.
This is just making the frets clean, really, making them shiny.
You've got to have faith that even though you can't see it, it's still doing the same task of scratching it more finely than the previous scratches. A constant process of more finely scratching it. Okay,
Would you say about 30 seconds on this one, or a minute?
yeah, something like that. Not a lot, just be fairly brusque with it. You don't have to, without breaking the neck. That's not so bad a repair, is it? When I get round to shining it up.
Awful. That's not bad at all. Probably put this somewhere
Okay, out of your way.
out of my way.
Yeah, you don't want to be going backwards on yourself.
I swear sometimes you act like a child.
Really?
Yeah. You're almost as messy as me. Actually, I'd say you're more messy than me. Careful. Ingenious device this. Very very useful.
What is?
The rubber
Yeah.
thing.
That's kind of handy.
We've got a cat in there. Yes, we do. Oh, the smell is lovely.
Which you get the smell of this stuff.
That's what I'm talking about.
You and your mates out the back of the house doing this stuff, eh?
No, we don't have the same cravings as you did back in your day.
We never sniffed glue anyway. Pretty sure we didn't.
She's just taken some.
Did she take the pipe cleaner stuff?
No, she took some of this,
Right.
wrapped up in a circle, and walked out with it. As if she knew exactly what she wanted. Stinks.
It also breaks down the lacquer that's already on there, or certainly the cellulose lacquer that I've put on.
Maybe that's a disadvantage of the cellulose.
Well, I don't know, but I'm kind of glad it did anyway, because I wanted to be able to blend it in a little bit, so it sort of helps me.
So this one here makes these dirty. The 4000 makes the rest of it dirty.
Okay. As much as I'm going to do on this repair, apart from a little bit of sanding to smooth that off, and some buffing, not sure a lot. He's going remarkably slowly now. He's on an hourly rate. That's something else.
You said it'd take around about an hour. It's 1 hour and 15 currently.
Dinner's ready.
Oh, great. Time to stop then. We're all done.
Oh, maybe I might.
Well, you want to get some gold paint out and just finish this off.
Like you never do
We
anything
shaved
wrong.
off the top of the gold pickups so they've gone silver.
I didn't do anything major.
Much. Are we all done on the papers?
Yes.
You wait till you see it.
Sounds being dramatic.
It's just the way it is.
If it turns out to be
That one's
gold,
just been painted
because
to.
I'm taking. No, that was painted there. If it turns out to be gold, because I'm taking your word for it that I've done something bad.
You have done something a little bad, but let's not worry too much. I won't hold it against you
Much.
much. I might have to go and find a new replacement set. Anyway, listen, I'm going to come back after we've eaten and I'm going to put some Dremel on this and we're going to polish that up. Okay, see you in a minute. Ooh. Right, we're back again to complete the fret job on this Gould Les Paul copy. And next stage of this is to use the Dremel. Bit of noise now, but yeah, we're just going to give this a quick going over. Gets a bit messy. It tends to wear these discs out pretty quickly. If you're going to do this with a Dremel, by the way, I suggest that you always use two hands, because if this jumps forward and ends up with the metal chuck hitting the fret, you're going to be back to square one and starting all over again. You won't want to do that. So don't take the risk of trying to do it one-handed. Especially when you get to the end there, you can roll off the end very easily and the wheel will pull your hand down onto the fretboard. So once we've done this, what we then get to do is to refit the strings, put the neck under tension, and then set the action, set the neck relief, get the playing action going, and then we can head towards doing the intonation. The bodywork on this guitar is pretty good. Quite a slow process, as you can see. And we'll rush it. You can also see how much work we had to do to get these frets level. And it isn't going to be perfect because we saw there were one or two spots that we really almost didn't reach in terms of taking the metal down on all the other frets. So it's not the 100% perfect, but it will be a lot better than it was. I'm thinking how many times I must have done this now. Probably around 50 times all told. I'm counting. sides. Around the pickup selector switch. Okay, so rubbish everywhere, and so what we have is the completed fretboard, and I'm going to pull off these tabs that I put on it when I put the masking tape on. Made them kind of fasten around the back, made the tape long enough to catch around the back and make little pull tabs, which makes it so much easier for getting this off at the end. A little trick I learned in one of my thousands of fret leveling jobs. Doesn't always work, sometimes it just pulls off anyway, but it usually makes it easier. So we're pretty much at the end of the fret job, so all that remains now, still quite a bit, but we'll clean it up, give the guitar a once over, clean over, and then we're going to put the strings back on, set an approximate playing action, as well as setting the neck relief if we need to. Although you saw Thomas doing quite a bit with the neck relief, it's my experience so far that normally with the setups we do here, it tends to be the case that you can put the strings on with a flat neck with no relief in it, and the string pressure alone is enough to bring it into the correct relief. Now that isn't always the case, so it may be that we still have to dial some in with the Allen key and the truss rod, but we'll start with a sort of working assumption that we won't have to, that we'll just put some pressure on with the string loading, and then we'll see where we get from there. You can see when you pull these tabs off and they're so filthy, you can see why the masking tape is a really good time investment to protect the fingerboard from the cleaning process on the frets. It will leave quite a bit of gunk generally on your frets, on the rest of the guitar, so we will need to give it a once over clean again in a second, because you'll get some of the goo, plus you'll get some tape, glue from the tape, which tends to stick onto the guitar body at some point or other. Even though it's pretty benign stuff and you can get most of it off with your fingers, you still get a little bit left behind sometimes. And it rolls off quite well like this as well if you can't get a grip on it. So, neck relief, playing action, nut settings or nut action, and then finally, when all that's done, intonation. Okay, we got away with that. I thought Thomas had managed to paint or scrape the pickup silver. I think he didn't quite manage it. It's very lucky. Right, last few bits of tape sticking on and making things difficult. Squeak. Last few bits of glue. And we're almost there. Lovely jubbly. So right now we've still got we've got loads of goo that's splattered onto the guitar body, and so we're going to need to clean all that off, and there's loads of dust splatter that's also gone onto the headstock, but that's okay. We've got our friend the lighter fluid that we can use tons of. Take this off a rid of any of the marker pen on the side of the frets, first of all, and then we'll come back to the body and both sides. And this lighter fluid really is the biz. Makes it really easy to clean up, whilst being highly flammable, of course. Do the edges. Yeah, and this, not strictly necessary, we'll usually end up with a final clean when everything's done and dusted, but it's kind of nice to give it a go over now. Might as well be as clean as we can as we progress to the next stage. Just looking at the bodywork as we go, it seems to be in pretty good condition, so I don't think we need to do any repairs or any kind on this. It's all good nick. And flip it over once more and do the headstock. In my experience, when you use do a clean with the light fluid, it tends to need a clean cloth after that, completely clean one, just to take the sort of cloudiness off finish. If there's anything that the naphtha leaves, it's a slight sort of milky, cloudy feel or finish. But yeah, this is a fairly all-round good condition, as you can probably see as I'm turning it over. It's not mirror shiny exactly, but it hasn't got any significant scratches that I feel like obliged to take care of. A bit of glue there coming off. A bit of, let's say, milky goo from the naphtha still on the surface. Getting in between the volume and treble pots and the selector switch is quite tricky sometimes. Okay, that's a good start. I mean, this guitar probably right at the end could benefit from a once over with the scratch remover stuff. Not this, wherever it is, somewhere else. You know, help give it that just a bit of extra shine. Okay, so I'll stick it up on these pads to keep it cleanish, because I'm getting to the point where this stuff I'm using on the desktop is getting so dirty. I'm going to need to put a new towel or something over the top. But pretty much happy there with the neck job. It's looking good, and it's time to load this up now with some strings. I've got some options on strings. I've got some heavy gauge strings. I'm tempted to use them, but I won't, because it's probably a good idea to have some handy for when another customer specifically wants heavier strings, and often sometimes I get caught out with having heavy gauge stuff. So let's just stick with the regular number 9s. So straight into the stringing process. Been through these strings like nobody's business. Of course, what I will need for that are some rather obvious components, which stunningly I have not managed to give a good clean to yet. And I'm also got my phone here making all kinds of noises, upsetting the recording, which I apologise for. A bit of an oversight. Okay, I have a nice pot of surgical spirits, which I was using earlier on to clean things, and I'm just going to give everything a quick toothbrushing in the bath of surgical spirits. It doesn't, nothing kind of, no harm can be caused with this sort of stuff. It's kind of chrome and gold chrome, whatever you call it, electroplated. So this should help just give it a quick clean off. And I've also got the posts in there as well, give them a clean. Bit bit noisy, apologies. Right, find me a cloth, another one. Stay there. Right. It's not exactly shiny stuff, but it's still got most of its gold colour, so it's not too bad looking. It's fairly elegant, antique-ish looking stuff, but you know, a quick dip and a quick scrub goes a long way to getting rid of some of the grime that's built up over time. Not all of the way, by the way. It's quite difficult to get rid of some of this, but still it looks a lot better than it was. And then we have to dig out the posts. Use a pair of pliers for this. Come along, out you come. Right, put this off to one side. I'll drink that later. Pour it away later. Put these back in here. And I'm going to go right down to the ground level and work my way up from the bottom. See what we need in terms of height. When it comes to some of the plastic things, I won't wash them in alcohol. Metal things tend to be alright, but I'll wash the plastic things in either naphtha or, if necessary, run under some soapy water. That's all looking quite good, sort of antique-ish. Right, which means we get the choice of which direction are we going to put our thing on. I quite like putting the bridge on that way round. Why? Because I prefer to get access to the intonation adjustment from that side. It doesn't matter which way round you do it. It makes no difference either way. But I'm going to start with it that way round because I like to find it easier to get a screwdriver in, set the intonation that way round. Okay, so with this this guitar, regular tuners, I'm going to go right the way through. So I can pull this down a bit. I'm going to go right the way through, pull back by about 3/4 of an inch, hook it up, and then just hold it down and wind on with the string winder. It shouldn't take too long. Pull it fairly taut. It's hitting the deck right now, but that's fine. What I'm also going to do then is cut off the excess straight away because I don't need it around, and move straight on. Again, the same thing, all the way through, check it's in place at the back, pull it back by about 3/4 of an inch, bend it off, and wind it on. Very simple job with the Les Paul copy. I find it much easier than with the Strat. The Strat seems to have all manner of things waiting to catch you out when you're stringing it. So far, the Les Paul copies are straightforward. Again, all the way through, back by about 3/4 of an inch, and bend it so it will catch. Looks nice. 3 out of 6 done. side. Yeah. Okay, I'm missing some things. Well spotted. These little ferrules that hold the tuner in place. I hadn't seen that. It's just as well I noticed at the last minute. Not sure why I hadn't taken those off as well, but that seemed a bit funny. Okay, all the way through, line up, pull it back about 3/4 of an inch. This time I'm going to hold it down with my thumb while I wind it on the correct way. There are those who think that the Les Paul design is inherently, or the Les Paul nut design is inherently flawed. Actually, the headstock is inherently flawed because of the way the strings splay as you come over the nut. It puts the nut slots under a kind of angled pressure, and since the slots in the nut aren't cut at any angle, they go straight. It means the string's kind of going through a straight slot at a funny angle, which is likely, or very increases the likelihood of causing binding, which I think is a fair thesis. I kind of get that. There you'll see some guitars, I can't think which they are right now, but actually there's a Peavey I'm thinking of with 3-a-side tuners, and it's a little sort of arrow-headed shaped headstock, and the way the strings go through that are absolutely perfect. I think there's another, I think it's a PRS that has a similar shaped headstock, and when you look through you see the strings never vary, they go in a straight line straight over the top of the nut. Apparently that's supposed to be really good, the best way round. But there are so many reasons why the Les Paul headstock is an abomination by some people. I think one of the funniest haters of the Les Paul headstock is Scott Grove. Well worth googling on YouTube, by the way, if you have never come across Scott Grove. Don't do it if you are easily offended, but actually he's a very, very nice guy. Underneath his slightly mouthy exterior, it's a kind of a persona for the internet, but he's a deeply decent sort of chap, and he's got a lot of very, very smart and I think very correct things to say about guitars generally. He knows what he's talking about, I think he knows what he's talking about. So I've got a lot of time for him, even though a lot of people don't. So next up is the adjusting, broadly speaking, adjusting the action. This is clearly hitting the deck at this point, so that's not going to do us any good. So I'm going to need to wind this up to get at least my minimum kind of 1.5, let's say 1 to 1.5 millimeters playing action out of it. And with a Les Paul Tune-o-matic bridge, you can see it's very easy in that sense. You are just winding this up. Can't go wrong. Stop there for a minute, and I have got my metal. I mean, first of all, I can look down the Tune-o-matic bridge and see whether they're roughly even, which they are, and then I can look at my tuning thing, which tells me this is currently just about 2 millimeters, which is probably higher than I would normally go. God, I can feel it. It's got loads of height on this nut. I changed the nut out because the nut before was awful, but this needs cutting down as well. So there's a lot of work to do. First of all, I'm just going to keep doing a little bit more with this this action here, because it is too high. Now people do things differently, and I like to measure from the last fret, to be honest. So as I'm cranking this down, I'm thinking, what am I thinking? I'm thinking I haven't got my right glasses on. I'm thinking 1.5 millimeters is there, and I'm thinking something similar at this side. Of course, they won't act independently. These they will always work together in terms of lowering and raising the height. So let me just stop there, and then I will be looking for a tuning. Oh, that is the worst action over the nut I've ever seen, but that's my fault for putting a brand new nut on. It's a bone nut, but I'm definitely going to have to cut that down. So, first things first is we've got it roughly in tune, and let's have a look what the neck is doing. And the neck is not pulling any relief into it. So last time we went counterclockwise to take the relief, sorry, to put some, what did we do? We went counterclockwise to lower the hump in the neck, hump, not the right word, concavity. And this time we're going to go clockwise to put some relief into the neck. Let's make sure we've got the right one. We have. Start in the right position. Truss rods are such funny little creatures, really hard to work with. Okay, fairly big turn on that one. Let's see what it does. Bearing in mind there is gravity and there is concavity with gravity. Now, I have this blind spot when it comes to this. So, counterclockwise, we go downwards. Clockwise, we flatten it out, we remove relief. Counterclockwise, we create relief, effectively. What? Oh, I get this. Well, I've drawn this so badly wrong. I'm going to redraw this now so I don't get caught out this way. This is just useless. Right, I need to remove, so I need to go counterclockwise, not clockwise. Yuck. So counterclockwise. Let's do this again. Why is it so? I had this problem when I was learning to glide. I remember being in a glider, and the instructor would shout at me what to do in terms of the rudder. And we'd land, and on landing, I'd need to use the rudder to steer the glider while it's still moving, rolling along the airfield. And he'd shout at me to go left or right rudder, and I'd do the exact opposite of what he shouted. Okay, so I've drawn this way, and it's really wrong. Oh, it's really a crap way of drawing it. So I'm saying counterclockwise in order to add relief. To add relief. So I want to go from, let's have a look, I want to go from straight to relief. Okay, and I want to go down to that. Right, I go counter clockwise. So counterclockwise will create relief according to this, and then to go from relief So from relief to bring it up level, we go clockwise. That's what this says. I hope I've not been doing this wrong the whole way, all my life. So what I just did there is I went, what did I do? I can't remember what I just did. Where am I? Where am I? Okay. According to this, I am flat, if not, no, just about flat. And we want to get some relief in it, so I'm going to go counterclockwise, which is, it seems sensible to me, but we'll try it. Yes, so things like that, instructions like that, some reason for me they can be really, really difficult. I don't know why. It may be one of those things I haven't seen the right diagram explaining how it should be done, and in the absence of that I get completely confused. That has now produced a bit of relief. It's also got some fuzz stuck to it. Caught in a fret. Caught in a fret. Right. Going to be loads of slack to take out, but the next thing I'm going to do is get straight into that nut at the end because it's a horrible mess. Right, so now we have a job to do on the nut, and to do that I'm going to get a foam block. Whoops, not like that, I'm not. Get that out of the way. I'm going to support the neck with a block. I don't want it really to take all the weight, so that's not bad. That's holding the weight underneath, just under the little lip here, or the step, and then the nut there, the neck sits perfectly on there. So I know with a guitar set up with this playing action, what I'm normally going to be looking for in a nut action or a nut setting is 0.3 or between 0.2 and 0.3 on the metric side. So that's but about 0.2, lowest 0.2 of a millimetre, and this at the moment is sitting way higher than that, so we've got a lot of slicing to do, and to do it we're going to need a combination of let's reject one of these, right, the smallest one is out. We're going to use a series of nut files and also some little interesting little, I don't really call them there, welding nozzle cleaners, these little things. I've got a few different versions of them, but a combination of those and these little files, and we'll be able to cut down these slots to the correct amount. So the first thing is I'm just going to literally pull out the string out of the slot, and I'm going to dive in with my largest file, and this file is probably not going to be the right size, but I can use it just to make the first hole, and then I'll drop the string into it and tune it back. So I'm aiming to put it back under the same sort of tension as normal playing tension, so that I can make sure that the string drops as far as it needs to drop into the slot and it doesn't stick halfway down. Now it's a bone nut, so it's going to be sort of fairly predictable rate of cut, and I can see it's going down fairly quickly and evenly, which is great. And I'm just going to widen it out by using one of these. Is the right one? No, it's this one. I'm going to use one of these, which is probably the correct diameter for it. Just cut all the way down to meet the place we got to already. And keep checking. Keep checking all the way, and you'll see either the shadow, or you'll be able to press down and feel the gap that's still remaining between the string and the fret. And it's nice, I like this bone thing, it's quite predictable or dependable the way it cuts. Yeah, quite cool substance. Some of the plastics you can get on the Les Paul copies, on the nuts that come with them, it's really hideous and it just doesn't cut. It's more like a springy, rubbery substance, to be honest, and it's just a nightmare. Again, it's not critical to get it to exact tune. What we're just doing is we want it under the right tension so that it sits at the right point. And as we get nearer to the point, we're going to then just be really conscious of not going beyond the place we're aiming for. We don't want to have to fill this. But we can do it. If we cut too far, we can go back or we can fill it with a sort of get out of jail free baking soda and super glue trick, which is very effective actually. You might think it's not a great idea, but it does actually work. As a nut filler, you can put fill the slot, the trench, with baking powder, and then come along with some very low viscosity, i.e. runny super glue, the runnier the better, and put a drop of that on top, and it will turn that bead of super glue into, that bead of super glue will turn that little pile of baking powder into a solid cement, which you can then cut down a bit further and start again. So it's definitely a get out of jail free number. So we're nearly there with this, and what you can see is that the nut, the strings will now sit quite low in this nut. And some people, they don't like that. To be honest, I can't see any reason why not. There's no sensible reason why that's going to have any negative impact on your playing at all. If somehow the hole came around the top and squeezed the string, fair dues, that wouldn't be a very good idea. But as it is, nothing like that happens. It just sits there. If you're really unhappy about it, you can then take a diamond file and reshape the top of that, take it down. As long as you don't get to the bottom of the slot, you're fine. Okay, I'm just about done on this one, and I'm just going to have a look at it, see how it feels. It's actually, technically, I think that's still possibly a fraction more than I would like. Well, it's quite hard to see in this light. Yeah. It is. It's funny that it doesn't seem to show up. I don't think it changes the geometry that much when we lie it down here like this. Perhaps I'm being a little bit conservative. Yeah, there's still quite a bit of movement actually. I think I should carry on until I get it right. There's no point quitting out too early. Yeah, so basically if it still presses down onto your feeler gauge, you've still got some room to go. That's the... that is not what you want to do. Chinese torture. Sticking these little things under your fingernails. Not recommended. That's why these things, although they're cheap, they are hard to work with, I've got to say. And it's why by the time I had come to do a bit of this work, I decided to go for the expensive files. Because I don't enjoy getting a welding pipe nozzle cleaner under my fingernails, frankly. So still quite a way to go on this. I think that may be close to it. Still a little bit of room. Yeah, a little bit more to go. So radically different. That's pretty spot on. So the height of this E string, or the setting of this E string, is massively different to the one next to it. And that is what I'm going to take as my cue point. I'm going to carry on now with the rest of them. I'm going to take off this one and work now straight onto the next string, the A string. And I'm going to now keep my point 2, and I'm going to use this same one and just get going. I'm always doing it at a slight angle so that I can so that the string should come up over the back of the nut and exit at the top at an angle. Loads more to do, so I shall keep on cutting away. It's interesting that this bone is grabbing the saw quite tightly. I might step down using one of these to widen it out a little bit, give me some room. There's the room, get the saws out. Getting there slowly. It's a hard work. The other alternative is to shave down the nut, but it's already glued in place, so we can't do that. Well, we could knock it off, but it's a bit of a pain. It took a while to get that nut into that slot anyway. That also doesn't give you a chance to set each slot individually. You still might want to go and make small amendments. taking its time. It's slowly going down, but it's hard work. Partly annoyed or upset by the stupid G string, which is getting in the way. Means you can't take a good flying run at the slot like you need to, like this, because the G string is physically in the way. I've moved it out of the way, so we probably have a better chance now. Lots of good bone flying off there. Well, it's always the way. There's always a sharp bit of string waiting to hurt you a lot. Can't escape it, no matter how short you cut strings on a guitar. Right, this is close. Might stop there. Now I'm going to jump to the next one, which is the D. Now we switch to another thingy, the 32. This off the side, right out of the way, still loads of room. Sorry, boing. Tiny bit more. Definitely trying to injure me, those sharp sticking up bits. Okay, that'll do me. It strangled the string as I put it under there, so I'm just going to find a bass note. So we've got 3 of them done and 3 very high strings apart from that. So what I'm now going to do is I'm just going to slack off these first 2 and drop them off the side, because again I want them out of the way of the thingy, which is called feeler gauge. And I'm going to change my file over for the next one, which is the 24, 0.024 of an inch, which is not much help since we're doing this in mostly metric thinking. But now this is tricky. It kind of wants to grab at it. See where we got in the first cut. Apparently it's the deepest. Plenty to go. again, just judging by the visual look, I can still see this is way off. So I often say trust your eyes on this because they're very accurate and can spot very clearly when you're still, the string is still too high. You can see by the shadow it casts on the fret or off to the side of the string. Compare it to the shadows cast by the ones you've already done, which are correct. Again, still too high. So a long drawn out process, you can see, but one that's very worthwhile doing. More to go. Yeah, highly rewarding, very drawn out. Starting to get there now. We're still a small amount away, and you can see these holes now, or the slots, go right down into the nut. And I probably will want to take a file and reshape that, but only do that if you're fairly confident at your ability to cut something straight and make it look tidy. Otherwise leave it as it is, because it's no harm that the string is sitting right down in the slot. It's not going to make it bind or grab any more or less than sitting near the top. I would say that is pretty much on the button. Yep, absolutely. Move on. Okay, next one. Change over to the 16. Or 0.016 of an inch. See straight away that's still high. One tiny bit more, and then we're done. That's it. We're there on this one, and we have one more to do. Actually, it is a fraction higher than the one before, but do you know what? I can live with that. It's the G that's usually the one that gives the problem. Okay, so we're finally into the last one. 0.011, the thinnest of all the lightest of all files, and probably hardest one to manipulate, but it seems to be working quite well for us at the moment. It's actually wider than the gauge of string, but it has to be in my book to get through comfortably. Still high. Almost there. Still too high. So, won't be long getting there. Tiny bit. One more swipe and we are done. Nicotine. What? Where do they come from? I think that will be still a tiny bit.